One thing I'd like to quickly talk about is the organization of your Unity projects. This is incredibly important when working with a team or as your projects get larger and larger. You'll find that your scenes get more and more complex and they will potentially have hundreds and hundreds of objects within them. Same thing with your project. You'll have hundreds and hundreds of assets here at your disposal used to build the rest of your game. You want to keep all of these things nice, neat, and organized so that you can sort of keep track of where everything is, as well as be able to find the stuff that you're working on very quickly. The first thing is we want to keep our hierarchy within the scene we're working on organized well. Not only the hierarchy itself as what's parented to what other objects, but also the naming of these things. I have a floor here, and then I also have a cube that I'm using as my player, as a placeholder for my player until I get an actual 3D model for my artist. I should go ahead and rename this to player instead of just cube. You typically never want to leave any of the default names for any of your simple objects, cube or sphere or cylinder or any of those other basic shapes that you might be using in Unity. Now, it is a little bit different if you had a handful of 3D objects that you were using sort of as walls in your scene or as floors or something else along those lines. In that case, if you had a whole bunch of these objects that were all different walls at different positions, then what I would recommend doing is creating a empty parent object and naming this empty parent object something like walls, and then taking all of your wall objects and moving them into that. Now we sort of have this parent game object, which is kind of acting as like a folder for all of those child objects. All of our walls are under this empty parent game object. Same thing with our floors. We could have a bunch of floors under an empty parent game object, or we could even organize our scene based on rooms. I could take these two wall pieces as well as this floor and organize it into an empty parent game object called room 1 or starting room or tutorial room or something along those lines so that my scene stays nice and organized. In addition to keeping our scene nice and organized, we also want to keep our assets in our project window nice and organized. You can see I have a couple folders already set up, but then I also have a bunch of just random assets, which are different types of things that I could be using in my game that are just in this base assets folder. A good rule of thumb is that you should never have assets just in your base assets folder. So let's follow that rule of thumb and first sort all these files. So it looks like I have some prefabs here. So I'm going to create a brand new folder called prefabs. And I'm going to create this as a child right here, just in my base assets directory. And I'm going to take my prefabs, which are all of these things, and I'm going to move them into that prefabs folder. Great. Now it looks like I also have some C# scripts here. So I'm going to create another folder, create folder. I'm going to call that scripts. Here are my C# scripts. I'm going to move them into that folder. All right, now I also have these things. These are graphs for the visual scripting language that Unity has. So I'm going to create a new folder here called graphs. And I'm going to move these into it. All right, I have this new terrain. Remember I was working on this terrain object over here. Terrain is actually stored up of multiple things. So there's the terrain object in our scene, but in addition to that, there's a file that it's referencing, which is the terrain data itself. We don't want to leave this named as new terrain because that's the default name for this terrain object. And if we create another terrain in another scene, it's going to use this exact same file called new terrain. So we're going to rename this. We're going to call this mountain terrain. Appropriate names for this could be mountain terrain or lava terrain or volcano terrain or level 1 terrain, level 2 terrain, something along these lines. You want to make sure that these files are uniquely named so you can quickly find them. It also makes sense because later when your project gets bigger, you can search for mountain here in the search bar and be able to find these assets. Or you'd be able to search for level 1 and see all the assets related to level 1. All right, this is a terrain file, so I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder here, and I'm going to call this terrain. Again, this is just going to be in the base assets folder, so I'm going to put my terrain inside that. Tactics thoughts. This is a Unity scene. If I double click it, it'll open up this other scene, which doesn't have too much in it. This is a scene, so it should be inside the scenes folder. Let's put it in there, and then I'll hop back to my sample scene. Finally, I have my warrior. This is a material, so I'm going to put that inside my materials folder. Great, my project is looking a lot more organized. Again, this scene is bothering me because sample scene is the default scene in Unity. I'm going to rename this to level 1. And then Unity will ask me to reload it because I have it currently loaded. And now I can see that the level I currently have loaded is called level 1. Great. This project is already looking a lot more organized than it originally was. As your projects grow, this will be more and more important. I cannot stress the importance of proper project organization. Stick to this, and in the long run, you'll thank me.